Z players are in shambles because it's time for a true baddie to come in and take control of the most underutilized color combination in the game. And who better than the new, hot OP08 King? And if you're looking for how to play him, here's everything you need to know. King is your new 4-life purple-black dual-color leader with an activate main that gives you the choice of 2 abilities. For Dawn -2, you can either reduce the cost of one of your opponent's characters by 2 until the end of the turn, or draw a card if you have 5 or less cards in your hand. Purple and black should go together like peanut butter and jelly. They both center around top-end bombs and very large-bodied characters, and feature characters with KO stapled onto them that revolves around cost. Together, they're just supposed to insulate and make that strategy even stronger, using purple's ramp mechanics and black's better removal. But before now, the only purple-black leader failed to deliver any consistent ramp toolkit to make it work. But with King being Animal Kingdom Pirates type, you've got the most powerful ramp piece in the game. Starter Deck 4's Oni Gashima, a 3-cost stage that lets you rest it to add a rested Dawn to your field, if your leader is Animal Kingdom Pirates type. Oni Gashima will allow you to single-handedly accelerate past your average opponent and keep your Dawn count high when utilizing multiple Dawn minus effects in a turn. This is what a typical Dawn curve looks like in the game going first or second, without accounting for any Dawn minus effects. But with Oni Gashima, you'll skip a full turn's Dawn count every 2 times you activate it. When playing it on your second turn going first, you'll immediately shoot up to 4 Dawn and untap the following turn with 6. After activating again on turn 3, you'll end up at 7 Dawn and untap at 9 total on turn 4. Whereas the average turn 4 player going first would be at 7. You'll be an entire turn cycle ahead. Going second gets you more or less the same result. You play it on turn 2 when you're at 4 Dawn, letting you untap with 7 on turn 3. After your turn 3 activation, you'll be untapping with 10 Dawn on your 4th turn, rather than the typical Dawn curve of 8. It's not crazy to say that Oni Gashima on curve will make or break your ability to stack up against the strongest decks in the format, so you should be mulliganing for it aggressively. But also, thanks to OP07 and now OP08, we finally have some good help in searching for it when it's not in our opening hand. It's crazy to say, but it wasn't until OP07 that we finally got a purple Animal Kingdom Pirate Searcher with the card We're Going to Claim the One Piece, a 1-cost event that checks your top 5 for an Animal Kingdom Pirates card, or Big Mom Pirates card, which will be relevant for later. And now with OP08, we have a character searcher with Queen, a 1-cost 2k power character with on play check your top 5 for an Animal Kingdom Pirates card other than Queen. The only hand I'd consider keeping that doesn't include Oni Gashima is one that has at least 2 of these searcher cards in it. That way, between your draw step and being able to play both of them between turn 1 and turn 2, you've dug 11 cards deep into your now 40-card deck. To back up Oni Gashima and aid all of our Dawn minus abilities, we also play OP08's Pudding, a 3-cost 4k power character with 1k counter, who allows you to add a Dawn from your Dawn deck to the field rested once during each of your turns, when Dawn is returned to the Dawn deck from your field. While she doesn't accelerate your Dawn curve like Oni Gashima, she is a great support piece since your King leader is already Dawn minusing 2 every time you activate his effect. If you were to play any other Dawn minus abilities in a turn, even Oni Gashima would begin to get outpaced by how much you're minusing. Plus, thanks to claiming the One Piece, we can also search for her. But in all honesty, no matter how much you Dawn minus in the game, you're probably going to be fine, because King gets to leverage one of the most powerful cards in the game, OP08's Black Moria, a 3-cost 2k power character with 2k counter and activate main once per turn. If you control no other Black Moria characters, add up to 5 cards from your Dawn deck rested. Then, at the end of your turn, you'll return Dawn from your field to the Dawn deck until you have the same amount of Dawn on your field as your opponent. So even if you found a way to minus 10 Dawn in a turn, activating Moria gets you back to 5 instantly. You can also play her out early in the game, getting 5 extra Dawn rested, and then returning that extra Dawn you would lose anyway to draw cards with your King leader. Her ability also combos with Pudding. When you return Dawn to your Dawn deck at the end of turn to equal your opponent, Pudding will see that as putting cards back into the Dawn deck from your field. You'll then ramp 1 from Pudding, which will, instead of making you equal with your opponent's Dawn, put you 1 ahead of your opponent. So what are we doing with all this Dawn? Well, let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Or, the dragon. As with any Animal Kingdom Pirates deck, Kaido is one of our most powerful character cards we get to leverage. Starter Deck 4's Rush Kaido is still an absolute board breaker, which can also push through a lethal attack out of nowhere to end the game. OP01's Board Wipe Kaido is also a great tool to leverage against a swarm of mid-range character decks like Doflamingo, Kalgura, or Bonnie. But where Starter Deck 4's Kaido doesn't play well into your King's ability, you'll have no problem doing so with the new Kaido in OP08. A 9-cost, 9k power character would activate main once per turn. You may trash one card from your hand. Then if you played this Kaido this turn, you could trash a character with a cost of 7 or less. Then your opponent trashes a card from their hand. This card's wording may seem a bit complicated, but the gist is that they templated what would typically be an on-play ability to work practically the same, except for you can weave in the activation of your leader ability to combo with it. So for example, after playing this 9-drop Kaido, you can Dawn -2 with your leader, or if you have a 10th extra Dawn, play a 1-drop reducer like Tsuru or Ice Age to reduce something larger than 7 cost into its 7 cost range. And since this ability trashes instead of KOing, you're able to get around sticky board positions like Blocker Sabo's effect on all characters, or get around KO effects like Blocker Shirahoshi. Unlike other activate main effects, you will only get to do this once and done the turn you play it, and not get to leverage it turn over turn over turn. But OP08 already gave us the perfect card to do that. This new Jack is a 7-cost 8k power character. With activate main once per turn, you may rest this character to draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. Then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. And with your leader ability, Jack is hitting cost 5 or lower characters. But he's also perfectly insulated from other black and purple removal by having a static ability that increases his cost by 4, making him an 11-cost character in the eyes of any interaction pieces. And that draw discard effect alone is perfect in a deck like this. It lets you look for specific interaction pieces you may be missing, or when you have really clunky hands, get rid of your non-counter pieces for defensive counters. Or, you know, you could just, set up your yard for him. I guess. Why not? We're in black. Why not? King is, of course, a black leader and is in a great position to leverage 8-cost Moria like any other black deck. Between Moria and Moria, this deck is able to build around 2 of the most powerful cards to exist in the game. Cheap utility characters like Searcher Queen, or this new Sasaki who lets you rest the Dawn and himself to reduce a character by 2, return in a snap with Moria, as well as typical black toolkit targets like OP02 Tsuru and Starter Deck 6's Helmeppo. But it's the 4-cost lineup that really gets interesting. Obviously, you could just get back 3-cost Dawn support like Black Maria or Pudding, but you also have the OG Animal Pirates ulti page 1 combo, where you can replay a Starter Deck 4 ulti from your yard, then use her on play ability to play any page 1 card cost 4 or less from your hand. Or you can lean into OP06's Hitokiri Kamazo, a 4-cost 5k power character with 2k counter. He's already able to attack leader, but he also features a once per turn ability that activates when you return Dawn to your Dawn deck on your turn, allowing you to KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. Great for stamping out cheap aggressive decks, but combined with your leader's ability, which both triggers the Kamazo's effect and reduces the cost of a character before it activates, Kamazo can KO up to 4-cost characters. But trust me, the real spice is when you bring back Arbel, a 4-cost 5k power character with 1k counter that has an activate main trash this character ability. If your leader is Animal Kingdom Pirates type and you have 10 Dawn cards on your field, you can play 1 king with a cost of 7 or less from your hand, allowing you to attack with a 5k power character, then trade him in while rested for a larger king with potential for on-play triggers. Returning Arbel off Moria before you activate his ability effectively nets you 17 Dawn worth of characters from paying 8 for Moria. Plus, it only cares about your Dawn count for its ability. So if you ramp to 10 Dawn early in the game, far before your opponent, you can use him to just cheat out large bodies while also developing more board pieces or getting aggressive with Dawn on your leader and characters, far outpacing the efficiency of your opponent's board. As for your king targets, you have a variety of different ones to challenge whatever decks you might be facing in an event. There's Starter Deck 4's King, which has on play Dawn -1 to KO a 4-cost or less character. OP01's King with Dawn -2, on play KO a cost 3 or less and a cost 2 or less character. Or you can use OP08's brand new King, a 7-cost 8k power character with on play Dawn -1, and if your opponent has 5 or more Dawn cards on the field, this card gains Rush. Just on face value, playing him as a 7 cost, he's a great threat to challenge a board or surprise your opponent with a lethal attack out of nowhere. But when you're combining him off a cost 4 Arbel, you're generating a massive tempo swing. And I know I'm recommending a very large and diverse number of cards for this set. So much so that you might not be able to play them all, or you're going to be playing them as like 1s and 2s of in conjunction with each other. But with 8 searchers in this deck, your 7 cost Jack, leader ability, and of course old reliable 5 cost Queen from Starter Deck 4, you'll have more than enough card selection to either run a perfectly tuned machine that does very few things overall but does them very consistently, or a scary toolbox deck that can out almost any matchup by digging for the specific piece it needs. And we're not even done with everything you have access to. OP08 lets you diversify your toolbox even more with cards like Conquest of the Sea or the new Charlotte Linlin, which is why the Big Mom Pirate searching on our Searcher event comes in even more use. Conquest is a 6 cost main event with Dawn -2 that lets you KO up to 2 6-cost characters or less, as long as your leader is Animal Kingdom Pirates or Big Mom Pirates type. With your leader effect alone, you're able to get an 8 cost and a 6 cost off the board. Meanwhile, this new Linlin is a 9 cost 9k power character and has on play Dawn -1 to heal a life from the top of your deck, then add one of your opponent's cost 6 or less characters to the top or bottom of their deck. But guys, I'm here trying to teach you and tell you about a deck that wants to zoom all the way to max Dawn and utilize it the best way as possible. And I've only told you about one 10 drop. So let me give you these two that are absolute backbreakers in any matchup. The first is OP08 Secret Rare Kaido and Linlin, a 10 cost 12k power character with when attacking Dawn -10 to KO all characters other than this one. Then you heal 1 life on the top of your deck and trash your opponent's top life. Literally just mashing together 10 drop Kaido from OP01 and 10 drop Big Mom from OP03, but making their abilities when attacking instead of on play. And if you have Oni Gashima on your board, you're really cooking, since after going to 0 Dawn, you can activate Oni Gashima to go back to 1. On the following turn, you'll untap on 3, play Black Moria, who can ramp you all the way back to 8, leaving you to untap at 10 again the following turn. Our second card, instead of being a 1-card army, looks to elevate every other piece of interaction in your deck, and that's OP02's Secret Rare Kuzan, a long-forgotten 10-cost 10k power character who statically reduces all your opponent's characters by 5 on your turn, while KOing a 0-cost character when he comes into play, with that ability taking the 5-cost reduction he gives into account. This 1-card single-handedly upgrades all of your removal to the max, especially when you can stack a leader reduction of 2 on top of that 5. So your Jack ability you can activate turn over turn, go from KOing 3 costs to KOing 8 costs, or 10 costs with your leader ability. Kamazo starts from 2 and goes all the way up to 7 with Kuzan and 9 with leader. 6 cost King goes from 4 to 9 or 11 with leader, letting him hit opposing Jacks. And your Kaidos and Linlins are punching way above 10 costs at all times. King's strong suit lies in playing as a control deck or a highly interactive mid-range deck. But where other black decks can lead into powerful Lucci combos to multi-kill, outside of playing 8-cost Sabo or multiple Conquests, King doesn't have that kind of wide board control, so its worst matchups are into decks that flood the board with mid-sized bodies to overload your targeted removal. Decks like Kalkara or Blue Dofi. Yamato can also be problematic as well, as you're typically playing a low blocker count in this deck, and they're not giving you too much to remove for value as much as they are going in on their leader. Plus, even your best blocker like Queen can be removed out of the way by Hody Jones. On the other hand, King finds some of his best matchups against other go big and control decks, while he can stand toe-to-toe while accelerating past them to gain tempo. Decks like NL or OP07's Lucci. King is truly living up to a deck builder dream, not only in how powerful he is, but how flexible the deck building is to find a lot of different solutions to different metagame calls. And if you're looking for a place to start building your King deck, here's a build that focuses on the control strategy that won a 6-round standard battle in Japan. Or if you're looking for a version with more mid-range options, here's a version I've been experimenting with. And if you're looking for more help, members will have access to an exclusive live stream turned VOD the day this video goes public, where I'll be playing this deck on Sim and answering questions live. In fact, members had access to this video along with all of our other content up to 2 weeks early. So if you want to be ahead of the curve and also support us in making great One Piece content for you, consider becoming a member. But let us know in the comment section down below what has you most excited to play King or if I can answer any questions for you. And if you're looking for more OP08 leader guides or more fun One Piece content, check out the channel and subscribe.